Well, good Monday morning to all of you out there, although for those of you at home, it will be Tuesday morning. Did you notice that we have a different color for our background? That's because we are starting a new math unit. How many of you have heard of the Great Wall of China? Oh, I've got a few hands in the air. Do you realize that the Great Wall of China is one of the only man-made structures that you can see from the way up in the air from, I think it's a space station? Anyway, we're not going to do the Great Wall of China. We're going to do the Great Wall of Base 10, which might leave some of you wondering, what am I talking about? So for today, we have an activity that those of you at home will have to watch us do. I'm sorry, it's just not going to work out very well for you to try to do such a thing unless you have a lot of time. So you're going to watch us do this today. So starting out today, we need to talk about this Great Wall of Base 10, but before we can build it, we have to know what our building blocks are. And let's see, how many of you have seen these tiny little guys before? Okay, a bunch of hands in the air. How many of you have seen these guys before? Bunch of hands in the air. How many of you have seen these before? Again, a bunch of hands in the air. So how big are these things? How big are these things? Let's see. We have Luke way in the back. Luke is further in the back. Now we have a new seating arrangement, so you'll hear voices differently today. Yes. What you think, Luke?
Ones, tens, and hundreds.
Oh, he's talking that they're ones, tens, and hundreds. Okay, do we agree with that? So how big are these ones, tens, and hundreds? Remember when we talked about measuring things? Oh, this is hard to see because it's a white. Ooh, I took a picture. Oops, I took a picture. Okay, so these are two little rulers. They sure look, if you could see all of them, one looks bigger than the other, but yet they both measure to 6 inches and they both measure to 15 centimeters. Remember, this is a quick review on rulers. That when you start measuring something, you have to start where the 0 is. So this one I really like to use because you can see how the 0 is way over. So we have to measure starting at the 0. So can you see how big one of those little yellow squares are? Grace. Grace said they're 1 centimeter. So if this edge is 1 centimeter, what do you suppose this edge is? 1 centimeter. How about this one here? 1 centimeter. How about this edge over here? 1 centimeter. So this is called a square centimeter. Boy, that sure makes a lot of sense, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so if this is 1 centimeter and it is that square is 1 centimeter long, how many are in that thing? Yes, Phoenix.
10.
Phoenix says there's 10. So Phoenix, how long do you think that is?
10 centimeters.
10 centimeters. Let's see if he is correct. Okay, Phoenix. Uh-oh. Phoenix, it says it's only 9. No, what? What's wrong, Phoenix? I'm not starting at 0. Thank you. It is so important to start where your measurement begins on your ruler. Now it is 10 centimeters. Do you see how much of a mistake you could possibly make if you don't follow where you begin the measuring? It took me a long time to find a ruler like this. Maybe I did that on purpose, huh? Okay, so we know this is 10 centimeters. We have 10 squares in there, and each of those is 1 centimeter. There, we've got something. Oh, goodness, we have a few hands in the air. Let's see, whose turn is it to talk? Is it Millie's turn now?
No.
Millie says yes. Okay, Millie.
There's 100 in there.
There's 100. How do you know?
Because it's 10 by 10.
Are you sure? I know that some of them like this I have 100 in them, but are you sure I put it like that?
Still 100.
Will says it's still 100 too. Luke, what you think? Still 100? Does anybody know what the dimensions are of this? Got 2 hands in the air. I guess it's Luke's turn to talk this time. Okay, 10 where? Okay. He said he knows he has to use 10. Yes. Phoenix.
Is it 10 by 10?
A 10 by 10. Okay. What do you mean by 10 by 10?
Each side is 10.
Okay, so Luke says Phoenix said that there's 10 here and there's 10 here, and Millie is saying, well, I already said that.
I did. It's a square 10.
It's squared. It's a square.
Mm-hmm.
It's a square.
Yeah.
And how many are in there?
10.
Only 100. So this is 100.
10.
100 little guys. So this would be 10 squared. 10 times 10. Just like this is 1 times 1. We have 2 square arrays and 1 rectangular array. Okay, that was our quick little lesson on measurements. I simply could have showed you this. Oh, I know, but it was more fun doing it the other way.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, you guys just aren't any fun. Okay, they're telling me that this wasn't fun. I should have just went right to this. Okay, remember when we were talking about this? Right here it has it written. 1 by 1 equals an area of how much? 1. This is a 10 by 1, and this is an area of, everybody? 10. This is a 10 by 10, which gives us an area of 100. And did you notice that they're calling this square centimeters? This one's square centimeters. How come is this one square centimeters? This makes a rectangle. That is a good question. Thank you, Luke. Luke liked my question. How come is this a rectangle, but it says it's square centimeters? What do you think, Jacob?
The centimeters, they are squares that's making a rectangle.
Okay, if you couldn't hear what Jacob said, these little squares make up the rectangle. So when we are measuring area, we are measuring the squares inside of a rectangle. Remember that silly goat thing that we had last week, and it was kind of an L-shaped thing?
Yeah.
It was even measuring the squares in that, even though it wasn't a rectangle. It actually was several rectangles put together, or several squares put together, however you decided to break it apart. Okay. So for our work today, we're going to work with base 10 pieces. However, you're not going to use these plastic ones. Those of you at home, you're going to need a scissors. And what you're going to do is start working with a bunch of pieces. So these things, I kind of hit it when I had this before, because I think I had it like this. When we have just one of these little squares, this little guy, I don't know why I call it a little guy, it could be a little girl. It's called a unit. When we have one of these, we have a strip, when we put them together, it's like we're making a strip of units, and there's 10 of them. When I have this thing, we have 10 strips, we call that a mat. How many of you remember that from last year? Okay, so some of you do, that's good. So as we get these together, we're going to make more. Remember I said we're going to make the great wall of base 10?
Yeah.
And we really don't have a whole lot of room inside of our classroom, so it's going to end up out in the hallway. So those of you at home, you're going to see the final product of what we're going to do. But what we want to do now is create our wall. We already know that this is a unit, this is a strip, this is a mat. We have 1, 10, 100. But if we're counting, or should I say if we're multiplying by 10, look at this. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 10 is what, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so now 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is, everybody? 1,000. 1,000 times 10 is 10,000. And we're going to start creating things and we're going to see how big that really is. Okay, so those of you at home that already have your parts, you are going to make one of the mat strips. You'll find out how big this is going to be, and I will give you instructions on what you need to do. And then you'll be able to see how your strip would fit in with what the class is currently making. We have a few people absent today, so poor Luke is either going to have to do quadruple time, or he's going to have to ask somebody to help him get things cut out. Just like on Addison's table, you're missing somebody, so you guys are going to have to work a little extra hard too. Okay, so those of you at home, I'm going to pause this for quite a while, and then we're going to come back with our parts. I am going to also tape this record this so that you can see us assemble our wall. So again, I'm not certain how far we'll get before gym class, but we do have 45 minutes right now. Okay, we are back, and soon we will be talking to you about what we are going to be building. So at home, you have received a piece of paper that looks like this. Actually, you've received 5 of them. In class, everybody has cut out their 5 mats, and we're going to build our great wall. I was talking about having to build this wall, but we need to know what the building blocks really are. So I'm going to pause what I'm doing at this computer and go to my other computer.
Yeah.